I'm at Amazing Tree Block today. I don't know what to expect. Cows, apparently, if you can hear that. I've been here for about 15 minutes and nothing. As soon as I turn this on, a cow starts sounding like the red alert klaxon. Anyway, the walk-in looks like this. Right as you get up to where the rock is. Fortunately, the rock itself and the landing zone are dry. I do know there's a 7A on here that I tried last year. I want to get back on that, so I'm going to warm the fingers up. And then I think that's going to be my focus for this session. This path is the downside of them having cleared all the trees away last year. On the other hand, I do much prefer it open like this. Don't know how long it's going to take for all of this path to flatten out. Probably a few years. The top there's looking mossy, but I don't think the climb I want goes that high anyway. I know that's the dino climb from last year we were playing on. Looks like that might need a scrub off at the top to try that properly. Anyway, I shall get my shoes on. Weather-wise, it has been a lot nicer today than was initially given out. Around about 18 degrees all day. Sunny and blue sky most of the morning, though the clouds come in now. Quite humid, really. I'm going to have to look in the guidebook to actually remember what these climbs are. Amazing Tree Block. Let's get started nice and easy. So start from the jug and crack, a poor problem. That's jug, that's crack. Want to try and keep the pad away from the edge here because that's a bit damp. Maybe more this way. There we go. We'll go with that. A bit more that way. Jug, crack, up we go. Nearly messed that up right at the start. And then, yeah, we're way mossy up here. So I think that'll do us for the top on that one. What was next? Sit, start and ape the drugs. And that comes out across to where? 24 was this one. I remember doing this one last year. Hoping I can repeat that. So 24 should break off that way. Right. Might try this one on the crack first, actually. I know I've done it. I remember repeating it last year. Took quite a few goes. So I'm hoping it's going to go easier this time round. Just need to remember the start of it. That was good there. You got left hand up there, hold up there, you got a good hold there. That's decent. I think we started down here. What do we want that? Press up into that. Okay, there's two possible ways of doing this. I can come in here, up to that, or I could maybe try and go direct to that. Of course, I've got to get the start first, which I remember being probably the trickiest part of it. Can you tell by how much I'm hesitating here? Wasn't that? Yep, that went pretty much as expected. Does anybody remember how I did this last year? Hold on, if I go left hand into that, I'm going to move face out that way so I can bring the right hand into that. I seem to remember this being for something as well. What do I need to start on? Into that. Nope. Well, this is just annoying. But I've done this climb. Ow. God, that hold is worse than I remember. Like a lot worse. Okay. There we go. Started up on that and down that. Maybe the match start wasn't actually the way to go. Certainly not for the grade that this is supposed to be. Although maybe not a bad idea to try and figure it out. And as for going from down here straight up to that, I do not have the power for that. Let's see if I can isolate that move. Where was I coming from? Down here. And I was stood somewhere here. No. Would have to bump up for that. Problem with that is I'm facing the wrong way. Oh. It's definitely within reach, it's doable. I would need to spend some time figuring out how, and I'm not sure that I want to waste my skin and energy on that today. Missing the hold does not help. Who would have thought? No, but I think that's a variation to work on. So what I remember from this one is the trick was in my heel and pulling myself into the rock before going for the sloper at the top. That's what I remember learning last year. Because if I remember right, and chances are reasonable, there was also a pink at the wall last year that had pretty much the same issue. And I figured it out on that. So let's just see if we can repeat this. Starts down there. Comes out into jogs here. Left hand's best on that one. Right hand, left hand. I think that's the right place for it. Heel. Ooh, was the heel in there or was it there? Left hand down to the sloper, and then you're pretty much in at the top. It looks like somebody's been bumping off a pebble here. Although they might not necessarily have been doing it for this climb. Right, that. Pretty sure we went left hand into that. Right, left. Right aiming for that. Left up to that. Kick up the heel. What was my right foot doing? I think it was pushing on something underneath here if I remember right. The good bit of that sloper is towards that end, I think. My body positioning was all kinds of wrong on that. Was I going from there or was I going from there? Slope is around here, so if I'm over here, that's wrong. No, I need to go off that one. And then straight up that way. Okay. Top tip for climbing, use the correct holds. It does help quite considerably. So I need to go for that. God, I feel sticky. And no, not the kind of sticky that would be beneficial. Right, so I'm gonna want, not that one I don't think, I need the right hand in that one. Yeah. Okie doke. I may have tried too big of a move on that. That's a lot to pull on. Was this hold this bad last year? At this point, maybe I should just cut into last year's video. I've lost something on there, and it's something in the technique. But what? So not only did I do it, I'm pretty sure I did it 2 or 3 times. Maybe my hand's better off more there. Pretty sure heel was on that there. Here comes the sun. That's in there. My right foot's kicking me off something. I think I'm going to have to go back and watch my own video. I am going to go back and watch my own video. I've watched it back, I was pretty much right. Also, I've moved you a little bit, but this is as level as I can get the camera here. It's very sloped, and this tripod doesn't allow me to move the head really. So hopefully you're not too much out. It was the 2nd of June when I did this climb, and today's the 16th of June. So a year and then about a fortnight, or just over. And this was very, very dry last year. There was a lot more chalk on this. Speaking of chalk on stuff, better. Right, the heel went there. Left hand there. Right hand there. Pretty sure it was that one. Then the heel went in, and it was bringing the left hip up and in. I wonder how many pro climbers go back to climbs that they've already done and find that they can't do them. So it was that and that, then up into that and that, here onto there. Man, I don't have the oomph on it, which is a technical term. Was this hold really so bad? I think the forestry is still working in here somewhere. Oh yeah, I can see them. Right, heel in. Oh, come on. How did I make it look so easy last year? This is what happens when you get out of practice. Oh, closer. Okay, it's that one. I was too far to the right by one hold, I think. So we go with this, we go with that. I think it was the angle of my heel on this that made that work better that time. Rather than straight out, I think I turned in. That lets my ankle roll over. Right, that. I think that was worse. There was no power in that. If I give this too many more goes, it's going to start eating away my skin, I think, and I'm not going to get a chance to play on this 7A. On the other hand, I really want to get this back. That thing's going to come past this way, isn't it? Yes, it's getting closer. All right. The pull up in, don't forget that bit. Yeah, I'm going to let that machine pass and then carry on. Well, I think that answers my question about how long it's going to take for these tracks to get better. A long, long time. Plus he's just got wet the dry bit where I had you earlier. Lovely. Right, I can do this. Apart from the part where I've not been able to, I can do it. Heel in, bring that hip in, pull down with the right arm, try and get that elbow back, and up. That's the move. God, that didn't feel at all right. Felt so incredibly unstable on that. And I'm not entirely sure why. Too much bounce into it. This really is a nice spot when the sun comes out. This time of day it's also a bit of a trap for doing this. But I bet you get some good evening climbs in here as well. I just don't remember the walking being so long, or having so much up bank to it. That went on longer than I expected. I'm going to give this one more go, and then I'm going to move on to this 7A for a bit and see what happens on that. I get a feeling I'll be coming back here relatively soon. I know I can repeat that one, I've done it. I know I can do this one. I knew last year I can do this one. Because I think this one is just about a little bit of technique that I wasn't quite getting. I'm going to move on, but this problem is definitely about dialing that move in. That is the crux. Might get back on it in a little bit. That's the good bit. That's not too bad. Let's rest. I know last year I was getting as far as putting my fingers in there, but I couldn't hold very well. Not enough to go for the next hold. Kept slipping out, but I think my fingers are good enough, I can probably get that. So long as my body positioning is correct. But this past week, maybe 2 weeks, I have felt my climbing come back a bit. Because I know the last video I did outdoors, other side of Churnit, I wasn't doing as well on high speed impact as I have done before. And then the last video I put up before this one, there was the pink on the back of the block, which I think was the third clip. Yes, it was the third clip. I had worked that pink out pretty damn quickly when it first went up. I just could not do the last move. I couldn't get close to committing to... Well, I could commit to it, but I just wasn't getting the hold. I even got to the point where I could touch it, but not actually secure. Because those big grey volumes underneath were... They definitely get in your head. And then the past 2 or 3 weeks, if not longer, I have barely been able to start that climb. And that must be 2 months I think that's been up, roughly. And I just went I just went so backwards on it for weeks. And then for whatever reason, that session where I filmed it, the clip that you saw was actually the second do on it. I did complete it once before that. That same session I went back for a second video of it, and I have no idea why suddenly it just went. Because I didn't change the beta at all. But it's one of them things that happens. Every athlete experiences it, you dip every now and then. I think part of it was just out of practice, especially outdoors. Right, I think I've rested enough, let's give this another go. Oh. Okay, I remember why. No, I've not got the microphone. I remember why getting that 2-finger pocket was so hard. Because you're really going into your hip there. And then you got pulled through into that. So you can get your left hand up to that. So I'm pretty sure this move here, that is the crux. It's left hand to that, and then I think it's bump up to that, which is a jug by the looks of it. And then just up to the next ledge. So once again, I'm pretty sure this isn't a strength issue with my body or my fingers. If anything, it's probably going to wind up being mobility. Getting the open hip and the ankle flexion for that move. long. I have two possibilities for the handholds here. So that's the start hold, which is decent. And then you bump the left hand up to here. This is what I've been going to, and I'm pretty sure that's where I went last year. And there's enough there to grip. You can lock the thumb over as well if you want. But this here also feels as though, well, it's definitely grippable. Whether it's actually usable for the positioning here, I'm not sure. Ooh, actually, if you lock the thumb in under that, you can kind of pinch it. I might give that a go. I'm not sure if it's going to bring my left arm too far in towards my body, but you got that. The right hand starts here, which is a jug. Got a little thumb press in there as well. Then you're going up to here, which isn't the best. And then it's up to this here. My front two are generally stronger than my middle two. Then up here, that's solid there. And again, you can engage your thumb with it if you want. That's not too bad down there. But I think the best part is probably getting it at the top there. And there's the top hold. No, it's not. That's the penultimate hold. Top's up there somewhere, that ledge. So I'm going to try and bring the left hand closer in, I think, next go. I'm also going to take my shirt off again because it's roasting. I'm also keeping my eye on that battery level, that's about to go red. I do have spares with me. Right, let's give this one more go. That felt so bad, I'm not going to try that again. It's not that it can't work, it probably can. Maybe for a smaller person. I don't think that's going to work for me. I'm also now getting the sun right up there. That's not going to help me. So that's back to where I was last year. And as I was on that, I was remembering why last year I struggled with the next part. It's figuring out how to get your body weight to hover that way enough that this right hand, the two fingers, are holding strong enough you can let go of the left hand to move up. I think that's really roll over on that heel. In fact, I think I might have spoke about that last year's video, wasn't this? I don't know, I'm getting deja vu with this. I might have spoke about it in last year's video about last year's video of this. This is not a finished transition. So close. I am done on this 7A for today. I know the issue with that is positioning. I know it's going to take a lot of attempts to figure that one out, and my skin isn't ideally conditioned for outdoor climbing at the minute. So before I go, I do want to try and get this move on here again. Also with the 7A, the sun's coming right at me down there. Although now that I've changed positions and decided to move on, the cloud cover's come back in. But still, I can come back to that. What I really want now is to get this back. So let's see if I can do it. Right, so I'm pretty sure we're going into that hold, that hold. I can feel my skin beginning to get sore, so this is not going to have many goes. It's another thing that happens when you get out of practice, your skin softens up. Am I on that where I want to be? I believe so. Right, up to you, into that. Bring it. I felt a little stronger. I think I'm still missing a little bit of a pop. It's making me really not to want to return to discrete block and find that I can't do that 7A that I did last year again. That would be incredibly annoying after everything I put into that one. Yes, the skin on my right hand in particular is starting to tear. So I think 2 goes maybe, and we'll pack up. Come on! Okay, the question now is, do I try that from the start and hope that I can still get that move? What the hell did I do? My right foot definitely pressed on something there. I know that. It's definitely this hold. It's the most left hold on this side before the corner slash arete. It's not really much of an arete. And then, what was I? Right, let's see if I can remember what I did in that attempt. It's left hand on that, mainly the 3 fingers, and I think possibly the thumb. And by left hand I meant right hand, I meant most left hold. Then here, it was mainly on the middle finger. That was on the best bit there. Then the 4th finger was okay. I can get a little, I get pretty solid in with the index finger, to be honest. And then it was the heel. Something really felt different about the heel. I'm sure the placement was different on this one. And hopefully the angle I had you at, you could probably see where my right foot was, but I cannot tell right at the minute. But I definitely kicked, well, pressed off against something underneath. Let's see if I can just get that again. From the start. See, when I do it from the start, it's coming into here that feels weak. So I need to make sure I'm locked in on these holes when I pull my foot up. No! Why? Why? It is just the tiniest little adjustment. This game sucks. That's starting to hurt. Right, I've got one last go. That's all I've got left in me, I think. In terms of the skin. I think I mentioned earlier in the year that I found that stretching my fingers out was helping reverse some aches that I've had in it, and I've definitely been noticing that the past couple of weeks as I've kept stretching back out, I don't get the same finger issues that I was doing. I still kind of close them all the way. I can generally do them better than I did, and I don't wake up with them feeling stiff and achy. Even after I've done some fairly hard climbing. One of the reasons I've not come out and climbed as much this year is I've been a little bit too paranoid about setting the fingers off again. That's probably reflected a bit in my indoor climbing as well. However, for now, all seems good. Just need to not put too much pressure on and not back off with the finger exercises. Not put too much pressure on too quickly, I should say. Right, I'm getting hungry. That was my stomach. Ah! Well, I guess we're going to be coming back here sometime soon. Right, I'm going to pack up and then I'll finish this section out in a bit. Right, I'm pretty much half skating along here. That's two forestry machines that have come past here and made this worse. It might be better walking in the other way. Good God. Right, it's drying up here. I was about to talk, but I'll wait till I'm past this. Back at the van, in case you couldn't tell. Bottom of the shoes are very muddy. I'm going to have to leave them out to dry for a bit and then clean them. That's not at all level, is it? Get out, you insect. Get out. Get out. Stop it. No. Oi, oi, oi. Out, out. Well, I was kind of expecting not to get that V6 again. Not V6, V5, the 6C, Prana Brothers. Given that it's a year since I've been on it, and I've not done much outdoor climbing for the past 6 months or more. On the other hand, I'm not really annoyed with it because I proved that I can still do that move, which means I can still do the climb. I'll probably go again next session. Conditions all being good. That 7A is still going to be as much work as I thought it would be. But again, I think that's just a positioning issue. That's going to come down to technique. Overall, I would say that was a successful session. Definitely going back there and hope it's drier around it. At least it's dry when the part you actually need to land when you're at the rock. It's 32 degrees in here. Today is Tuesday. If this weather holds, I may come back down on Thursday. And I don't know about the weekend yet because I've not decided what I want to do at the weekend. And weather is very much play it by ear because it's so inconsistent on the forecasts. Like today originally it was given out 70% chance of rain and we've had nothing. Not even close. Tomorrow it's showing 90%. Thursday, Friday 40%. Weekend all wet. In fact, we're not seeing any dry until next Wednesday, Thursday according to the weather, which is the complete opposite of what it was showing a day or two ago. And it will show like 90% chance of rain, but only about 35% chance on a particular hour when you look at the day itself. It's stupid. If it's going to be more sunny than rain, show it as sunny, not rain. So I'll keep an eye on that, but for the large part, probably ignore it. That, however, brings us to the end of yet another video. So, go ahead and do all the good stuff. Like, comment, subscribe if you're not. And hopefully this weather is going to hold out and there'll be a lot more climbing videos coming up. Right, I'm going to go now because I need to switch the aircon on and get out of here. Which I'm only going to be able to do when I find the key. There we go. Right, goodbye.